We are learning new details about the investigation into the deadly Catholic school shooting in Minneapolis. According to a search warrant obtained by CNN affiliate WCCO, the shooter was wearing a mask and body armor during the attack. Authorities also recovered even more magazines and unspent rounds at the scene. Law enforcement confirmed that they have been in contact with the shooter's parents. We're also learning that a month before the shooter opened fire at Annunciation Catholic Church, the Department of Homeland Security cut funding to mass shooting prevention programs in Minnesota. The grants were ended as part of $18.5 million in cuts to a Homeland Security program that the Trump administration says was partisan and unsuccessful. Joining me now is former Minnesota State Senator Minority Leader Melissa Lopez Franzen. Good morning to you. I think about this in the context that you were personally, and many in Minnesota, were already grieving the loss of Melissa Hortman when this shooting happened. Beyond the acute needs of these families, should there be some broader response, broader reaction?
Of course, and thank you for signaling that Minnesota is resilient, and we have been going through a lot of mourning lately, unfortunately. We all should take this seriously, regardless of where you are in your faith, in your belief in ideology when it comes to politics. Right now, we are grieving two young children, 8 and 10-year-old Fletcher and Harper. If you look at anybody's Minnesota feed, if you're from Minnesota, all you see is this news, this terrible news, and we should all be mourning together and try to figure out how to move forward together. Certainly, there will be policies that will be discussed in the future. This is a time for mourning, but yes, we are really grieving in the state of Minnesota. We want our leaders to grieve with us instead of fighting between them.
Yeah. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey has talked about the availability of extended magazines, assault rifles in recent interviews. He was asked about a way forward. I want to play what he told an NPR station.
If the federal government or the state government is not going to take the necessary steps to protect my constituents, let me do it. Give the city, give Minneapolis, give around the country the ability to take the action to keep their constituents safe. If there's other levels of government that don't want to take action, let us do it.
As a former state lawmaker, would you support legislation that allows cities to enact bans on weapons or magazines?
Well, it's a good step forward to actually have the conversation, but it's also really needing to be included with folks in all segments of the law enforcement population. I think it's really hard to have state by state, jurisdiction by jurisdiction, or city by city rules, but certainly it brings the topic forward. I think we need to do something. I think it should be done at the state level. But if this prompts a conversation, I'm all for it. Certainly, we want to work with our law enforcement because the practicality of enforcing these particular bans or whatnot can be practically unfeasible. So instead of putting a band-aid, I think this is the moment, if not any other, to do something. We don't need weapons that are meant for war to be in the hands of civilians. We can all agree on that. We need to protect our babies, not more than our guns, or not less than our guns.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that we are doing something. So the conversation needs to happen, and if it happens starting at the city level, yes. But at the same time, I think it's not going to solve the bigger picture that we need a national conversation on this particular issue. This is enough. We've had enough of these additional high caliber guns in the hands of people who should not have them.
2 years ago, the Minnesota Catholic Conference wrote to Governor Walz, and their request was that $50 million in building and cybersecurity grants that was proposed include non-public schools. They said this in their letter, that their schools were under attack. The exclusion of one sector of schools, as you know, non-public schools serve many students and families in need of services and resources, is a discriminatory act against our students. Should public dollars be afforded to private schools for security?
For national interest, of course, that should also be something we should evaluate. I tend to agree without hearing more than what I just heard, that schools are schools, churches are churches, and we should make sure that they're all safe regardless of whether they're public or not. At the end of the day, we are all public citizens. We all live in a sphere of government. So there comes a moment where we need to make sure that we are all protected. The sad thing is that we thought we were protected in our schools. We thought we were protected in our places of worship. And now we're seeing that no one's safe anywhere. We're living in fear, and politicians need to step up to the plate and do what they're supposed to do to keep our community safe and stop the lip service and stop attacking one community over the other. At the end of the day, we're all people, but what we all have in common is that we're getting access to weapons that we should not have access to. So that is the first step. And I'm not saying that's the only solution. Let's be clear. We have some of the worst counselor rates in terms of helping our students and therapists in schools. Let's do something like that we can do at a bipartisan nature to make sure people have support, starting with our little ones. This community is going to need support, not just the children, their families, our neighbors, our entire state. So what do we do there? Can we at least agree that we need to do something there and bring the right supports instead of cutting healthcare, instead of cutting mental health supports, like you mentioned? We need to start investing in people's healthcare and in people's mental health.
Melissa Lopez Franzen, thank you.
Thank you.